On the evening of March 7th, 1953, Grand Central Station was bustling. The usual crowds, men in trench coats hurrying home, women clutching leather handbags, children yawning against their mothers' arms. It was just another night in New York. And then a man appeared. Not from a train, not from the street. He was just there. One moment, the polished marble floor stretched empty. The next, he was standing in the middle of the crowd. No one saw him arrive. No one saw where he came from. But there he was, as if the world had just remembered to render him into existence. He wore a brown suit neatly pressed with a matching fedora and polished shoes. In his right hand, a leather briefcase. In his left, a ticket stub, worn at the edges as if held for too long. His face was smooth, his features unremarkable, but his eyes were wide with confusion. He turned slowly, scanning the terminal. "Sir?" A security officer stepped forward, noticing his vacant stare. "You lost?" The man looked at him, really looked at him, like he was seeing a human face for the first time. His lips parted. "Where am I?" The officer frowned. "Grand Central, New York." Something changed in the man's expression. He went pale. His fingers clenched the handle of his briefcase. "That's not possible." The officer glanced at his uniformed partner. "You feeling all right, sir? You got ID?" The man hesitated. Then slowly he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a government-issued identification card. The officers examined it. Stamped, official, authentic in every way. But there were problems. The agency listed on the card? It didn't exist. The address? A building that had never been built. And the date of birth? April 21st, 2047. The room that doesn't exist. They took him into the back office, a small windowless room lined with filing cabinets and old rotary phones. The air smelled of stale coffee. "All right, let's start over," the officer said, setting the ID on the table. "Your name?" The man hesitated. Then carefully, "John Doe." "Right, and where were you coming from?" A longer pause. "A train," John said slowly. The officers exchanged glances. "Which train?" John frowned. He opened his mouth, closed it. The muscles in his jaw twitched. I don't remember." His breathing picked up. His fingers dug into the armrests of his chair. "You don't remember where you came from?" John swallowed hard. "I don't remember anything." The impossible coin. At Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, a physicist named Dr. Eugene Acker once ran an experiment called the 13-second loop. The experiment was simple. Take an ordinary nickel, place it in a vacuum chamber and expose it to a unique frequency of electromagnetic resonance. In every test, the nickel vanished. 13 seconds later, it would reappear. But when they examined it under a microscope, it wasn't the same. The year had changed, the engravings were different, and once, just once, a nickel returned with a year that hadn't happened yet. 2063. It was made of an alloy not found on Earth. Dr. Acker destroyed the research and disappeared. His last known words to a colleague, "I think I opened something and something is trying to come through." The sky that went dark on November 9th, 1870, at exactly 2:13 p.m., the entire sky over Paris turned black. Not from a storm, not from an eclipse. The absence of light itself. For 12 minutes, the city was swallowed in a darkness so complete that even candle flames produced no glow. And then, as suddenly as it arrived, it was gone. Daylight returned. The city continued. No explanation, no meteorological anomaly, nothing. 3 days later, a man in a brown suit was found wandering the streets, disoriented, lost, and carrying a nickel from the future. The final page. The files on these events were sealed under Project Nightfall. But in 1992, a single page was leaked. One phrase was underlined, written in red ink. The system resets every 13 seconds. And at the bottom, hastily scrawled, "The man in the brown suit knows." And right now, as you read, check the time. Has it been exactly 13 seconds since your last blink? Did you just hear something, a faint whisper, a rustle of air behind you? Did your screen just flicker? If so, he's already here. Because somewhere in a train station, a man in a brown suit is standing very still. And this time, he's looking for you. This is the